Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Pig's Ear in Review on Tojo Dojo, one of the only places we're talking about what we've been playing and watching. I'm joined by Riku Rose. How you doing this lovely Friday?
I'm good, thanks, mate. You?
Oh, not too bad. And my stuff as well. And hot off the tail of the Game Awards from yesterday. Had some interesting nominations and reveals.
Yeah. I actually thought it was probably the best Game Awards show they've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just in terms of what they announced and stuff. I don't really care about the ads.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny to watch how much it's come from what Jeff Keighley used to do like 7, 8 years ago, which was just like an afterthought on Spike TV. And now it's turned into like something more respectable, which is kind of nice.
Stay tuned for Ninja Warrior repeats.
Right, exactly. So it's fun. Yeah, it was a good show though. But today, speaking of games, we're going to be talking about a couple games finally.
There you go.
So I'm going to be talking about Deathloop, and then for you, you got Disco Elysium,
Yeah.
which I think it's been out for what, a couple years now, something like that.
I think so. I think the director's cut or something came out like last year,
Okay.
which is what I played.
Yeah, I still need to get that. So I'll just get right into it though with Deathloop. So one of the games that made zero appearance at the Game Awards was Deathloop.
Was it
And
last year it was nominated? No, it came out this year.
No, it came out this year in like February, I think, something like that. So, okay, a little bit of backstory. So Deathloop is made by the same studio, Arcane, as the Dishonored games. And I never, I played the first one for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and it was good, but I wasn't a huge fan because, like, yes, it was a first-person action adventure style game and like first-person shooter and action adventure, which is cool. But for some reason, I think it was maybe the setting. I just like couldn't get into it. But I could tell, like, yeah, it's a well-made game, but just sort of wasn't my thing. And then after that, I don't know what else they've made after Dishonored games. Maybe it's this, but I'm sure they've done something else before this. But when I saw that Deathloop was getting announced, it did catch my eye a little bit because the setting was very interesting. It was kind of like an old James Bond 60s like assassin villain island type of thing.
Yeah.
And really the premise of the game is like you kind of need to find out this sort of mystery going on and why you keep looping, as the name implies. So because of that, it's a roguelike game where you're constantly resetting and you have to like potentially pick up progress again after you lose things and that sort of style. So I'm not normally a roguelike person, so I was initially put off, but I'm like, okay, this studio has some great praise. I figure maybe I'll give it a shot.
Getting like 10s across the board as well.
Yep. So, and then that's when I saw the reviews come out of, I was getting 9s, 10s, masterpiece left and right. And I'm like, okay, even though we've talked about like review scores and stuff, like you can kind of ignore them, just, play what you like. When a game gets that many good reviews, I'm like, okay, there is probably something to this game and it's not just BS, usually. But before I go on though, have you ever played like any of the Dishonored games? Or
No,
okay.
I haven't.
Okay, and what about roguelikes? Is that something you enjoy or not really?
I don't know what a roguelike is, and I don't care to find out.
Yeah,
no, I hear the term a lot, but I'm going to be honest with you. If you asked me to describe it, I wouldn't know because I don't think I've ever played one.
Yeah, so granted, the term has, I think, stretched a little bit in recent years, but the basic core aspect of it is the fact that you're playing through whatever the game it might be. There's an element of like resetting because of like, it's not permadeath per se, but it's like you die, so you kind of have to restart your progress again, and then certain things might carry over, some things may not. So it's not just, if you die, you can immediately continue right where you left off. There's an element of like, you really have to focus.
Is the original Sonic a roguelike?
Well, I guess if you run out of continues and have to start over, maybe a little bit, yes.
Yeah. Well, you have to go back to the little pole you ran past with no rings.
That's true. You do have to get some Chaos Emeralds again. So yes, I think that is an absolutely fair assessment that everyone will agree to. Let us know below if you think Sonic is the original roguelike. But like
That's
another
why
recent
Yuji Naka went to prison.
twice.
Yeah.
Like another recent game, actually, that got a sequel announced yesterday was Hades. So like Hades is a roguelike. So because it has that element of, like I said, respawning. Oh, Returnal from earlier this year or last year, whenever that came out. That's kind of a roguelike of sorts. So either way, that's not my normal style of game, but I'm like, okay, maybe I just haven't played ones that I've enjoyed, so I'll give it a shot. Granted, I waited until about a month ago, or a couple weeks ago for Black Friday. It went on sale for $20, and I was like, okay, I can give away $20 on a bet here to see if I like it.
Such a charitable man.
I know, right? This from the goodness of my heart. I gave
It's
GameStop.
Christmas, you know.
GameStop was struggling, in recent years. I
I'm
figured
selling their shares now.
exactly. So here's $20, and then you give me a game. Most charitable thing around. Okay, I played this game on two separate occasions because the first time, within about 5 minutes, I got this sinking feeling of like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna like this. But to be fair,
And you just visioned that $20 bill on fire in your head.
Exactly. And then I played it. So the first time I played it for a couple hours, and here's the thing that immediately put me off. The first hour, I'm not even exaggerating, is nothing but like tutorial menus popping in your face, constantly trying to explain what's going on, like incessantly. And I'm like, okay, granted, I can understand there's some complexity to this game, but like, can you just let me play the game for like a minute before popping something else up? So that was super annoying. Granted, after that phase, it started to go away, but it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But I played for a little bit longer, and then I kind of noticed, like, yes, this roguelike mechanic of constantly resetting, it's getting a little annoying, but granted, you can progress where you keep certain things if you get more experience points, blah, 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 which was like, okay, that's fine too. Came back the next day to play it again for another couple hours, and like literally, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it was, but the entire time I was miserable playing this game. Like, is the best way I can describe it. And I swear to God, it's ironic that this year's Merriam-Webster word of the year is gaslighting, because I feel like I've been gaslit into believing this is a good game. Because this game is absolute shit. I'm sorry. Like, the entire time was miserable. It was confusing, and I swear to God, every like you could upgrade your guns and like some powers or whatever, but like every gun had like subparts, and every subpart had like upgrades, and so I couldn't tell which upgrades went to which menus, certain points needed for certain things, and then the progress map made no sense. Like, I'm just baffled how this game got anything above like a 6 from anyone.
Well, I remember when it got announced, and like I follow a few like gaming things on Twitter and stuff, and like everyone was getting crazy about it. And granted, I didn't think it looked bad. But the way people were talking about, like, oh my God, that's like the best game that they've revealed. And I'm just like, fucking seriously? Like, okay, like, really? Like, oh, it looks so stylish. And like you said, like, it looks like other things that have existed before. I can even think of like, right, it's obviously not one for one. It's slightly, but that sort of 60s, what was that show, The Island or something? The Mr. X and with the big white ball. I more think of it where The Simpsons made fun of it.
I honestly have no idea.
No, it was some show where they were stuck on an island, like by like an evil organization, right?
Got it. All right.
Like there was a show like called We Happy Few. Like no, there was a game called We Happy Few a few years ago that also had that sort of 60s sci-fi look to it as well. And I was just like, really? Like, it looks fine. And then I saw all like the 10s and stuff like that. And I was like, watching reviews, because when a game gets a 10, you're like, should I be paying attention to this? And I looked at it, and everything they were talking about, I'm like, yeah, even though they're saying it's a 10 and it's fantastic, and everything I'm looking at here isn't anything that's making me go, whoa. Like, I've got to play. Whereas, like, when I played The Last of Us for the first time, although that didn't like reinvent the wheel or anything, I was like, "Whoa, that was a video game." Like,
Yeah, it's a good experience. Like, regardless if it reinvents it or not, it was well put together. Yeah,
yeah, that I understood. Like, I can also understand people not enjoying that game because it's not for
sure.
everyone. But I was like, yeah, like I can see why people gave it that.
Yeah, but so interesting that you would mention The Last of Us too, because at the very least, I think the biggest point of contention with the second one was the story, not the game
Hmm.
mechanics. It was the story people
Hmm.
disagreed about, which says a lot about how good the game is, I would think. But like with Deathloop, I guess the story was fine, but yeah, the mechanics were just so fucking stupid and broken that I couldn't just enjoy the game. Like it was so weird. And coming back to the scores, yeah, you look at games like this year, like Elden Ring, 10 out of 10. I think God of War basically got 9s and 10s across the board. Stray, which I'll talk about maybe next week, that's a great one I played. And like I said, not that we should give awards shows complete like, you know, like they're always right about everything, but Deathloop was not in a single category, not just given, but nominated. I don't
Which is
believe.
weird because I thought it was like all the outlets and everything come together to vote at the Game Awards. I thought it was like,
Exactly.
yeah,
So how does a game that gets 9s and 10s across the board not even end up nominated for a single category? So like that's where I'm saying, am I being gaslit here? Did all these companies just pay for these scores?
also,
How I'm just baffled.
also we've said we're going to do like a top three of the year at the end of the
Yeah.
year, right?
Mhm.
It's not been a great year, really. Like, I
Mhm.
like most of the best stuff I've played is like from stuff like years ago
Sure.
that I missed and whatnot. Like most of the stuff I've played and really enjoyed, if we did a point scale, it'd probably be on like the 7 and 8s and
Mhm.
stuff like that. No, so if you have a game that you're like touting as a 10, I would think that is like at the end of the year, like you've got to talk about this.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like even if it doesn't win, at a minimum I would think it would have been nominated for
Hmm.
something and it was just nothing.
Yeah, I don't remember it even like audio design, like gameplay design. None of those
Right,
categories
nothing.
or whatever. Yeah.
And then the other, I guess the other big thing is it was, well, maybe not any, I guess not anymore, but it's a PS5 exclusive. So I was like, oh, because it's, there's not that many PS5 exclusives. So I'm like, okay, this is another one. Maybe it'll be worth it, right? And I think now because of Microsoft buying, well, I should say that I think the FTC is blocking the purchase of Activision and Blizzard now.
Well, no, it's
Uh,
Bethesda. This one, they own
Oh,
it.
that's right. Okay, that's
Yeah,
right. They
yeah,
already
yeah,
own it. Never mind. But different
yeah.
story. So yes, they. I guess that's true. They do own it. I guess though because of that, because this originally, yeah, was a PS5 exclusive being developed,
Hmm.
but now I believe it is going to come to Xbox or PC or whatever. Um, but yeah, so I'm like, well, I'm just shocked that one of the few exclusives for PS5 is just this awful. And yeah, just all around disappointing experience. Like I'm just baffled. I'm just more confused that how this game got reviewed so well. And to be fair, it does. It's not like it's glitchy or anything like that.
Hmm.
It's not that. It's just the game mechanics are just unfun and confusing.
I said the same thing when we spoke about when I played Live Alive,
Yeah.
and more than the fact that you don't enjoy it, you just feel weird that you're not enjoying it because
Right.
you feel like everyone, and it kind of annoys you because you feel like you're doing something wrong. You're
Exactly.
like, what am I missing?
Hmm.
What have I like? Why isn't this clicking for me?
Right.
And at the end of the day, the answer is not every game's for everyone,
Of course.
right? And like
Yeah.
it still makes you feel weird.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously there's personal preference that comes into play with a lot of this kind of stuff, which is totally fine. But like this one is just so jarring to me. I'm just
Yeah.
truly confused. So definite, like I said, I mean, obviously it's a thumbs down for me, but maybe this does just come down to that personal preference and these types of games I just don't like. So
Mhm.
maybe for someone out there who's watching, you might very well like it. Because once again, it's not a broken game. The game functions great. Like it's plays smoothly, but it's just the style is completely not for me at all.
Okay, so it's not going above Call of Duty on your end of year list then.
It'll be a close tie. It'll be a close
Okay.
tie. So yeah, thumbs down for me. I'm glad I didn't spend a whole lot of money on it because it sure as hell isn't worth it. So
Okay.
over to you now.
Okay, so I've had it on my PlayStation for about a year, I think, and As you do, you buy games in the sales for like $5 or $10, and then you just never touch them.
That's like 3/4 of my Steam library.
Yeah, I finally sat down and played Disco Elysium, and I don't know why. I just was really in the mood for it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Having played it, I think the reason might have been I must have been feeling depressed just based on the themes of the game, and I was like, oh, I want to go into a bigger hole of misery or something.
Great, great.
What do you know about this game?
Nothing.
No,
Absolutely nothing. Other than people have said it's good. I've heard the name plenty of times.
yeah. Did you ever play like Baldur's Gate on the PC back in the day or anything
Oh
like
my
that?
god. Well, actually, speaking of which, third one just got announced. Well, it's been announced,
Yeah.
but they had a new trailer or whatever. A long, long ass time ago. I
So
mean, yeah.
it's like a cross between a visual novel and an RPG.
Okay.
Okay, so you can like you play a cop who just wakes up in a hotel room one day,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like lost his memories.
Okay.
He has no idea why he's there, what he's doing. He doesn't even know he's a cop at first. But like you search the room, you find stuff that
Mm-hmm.
clues you in, right?
Sure.
And you have to investigate a murder that's happened. You've come to this town because someone's been murdered.
Sounds like a favorite TV show of ours.
Yeah. But if instead of the quirky place of Twin Peaks, it was set in like a Eastern European fall of communism era type town.
Like Poland or something like that,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. It's not in a real place. It is, but it's in the sort of place that feels like, you know. And they talk about the history of the town. Now, I'm going to be honest. I beat this game like a month or two ago, and I can't remember it 100% well now.
Sure.
But like, there's been a revolution.
Okay.
Every person you talk to talks about politics,
Great.
which is my main complaint with the game, right? And I'm not one of like, oh, keep politics out of games and stuff like that because you talk to a racist.
Sure.
You talk to.
Sorry, the way you said it makes me think like that's like his position, like his job title. He's a racist.
He pretty much is, right? You'll talk to a racist, you'll talk to a communist, you'll talk to a
Sure.
socialist. Like every single person is like, these are my political leanings, and I'm like, people don't talk about like that. I mean, this isn't Twitter.
All right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm the head of the union, like for the workers' doc and stuff like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you get all of that stuff, and they essentially are trying to get you to battle with your own ideologies,
Mm-hmm.
because they will be like, "Oh, what do you think of communism?" Right, and you can be like, "Oh, it's a nice idea, but it doesn't work," or whatever. And then the next person you talk to is like, "Yeah, but this happens," and you're like, "Oh, fuck."
Is there like actual choices or not necessarily?
Yeah. It's dialogue
Okay.
choices and stuff, and that's the
Okay.
thing. It affects the way the game goes. So you can talk to
Okay.
the racist and agree with him to
Mm-hmm.
get what you want. You don't
Sure.
actually have to agree with him, but you can lie. But the guy who's your like assistant,
Mm-hmm.
he's Asian, but in the game they call it something else because
Okay.
it's not set in the real world. It's set in a.
Oh,
But
got it.
he's clearly of a different like race, you know.
Okay.
So then, if you agree with him, he's going to get pissed off with you because he thinks you're a racist, you know, like,
Got
or
it.
you know, or you can get bribed by people and you can accept it or decline it, and that's if you accept it, you might get more information, but if you decline it,
Cool.
you know, the other police officers are going to be like, "You're a dirty fucking cop."
Nice. Okay.
The reason you've lost your memories is because you're a drug addicted alcoholic.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm playing this clean. Like, new memories. This guy's going to sort his life out, right?
No drugs. All
And
right.
it made it tougher. But
Mm-hmm.
and because I haven't played it like multiple ways and whatever, I imagine there would be negatives to obviously drinking and taking drugs, as well as the positives that come with it. Because
Right.
there is like 20 skill items you can like upgrade.
Okay.
Right? So you can legit be like, I don't have a fucking clue how to look for clues.
Mm-hmm.
And like walk into a room and see like 3 things. And I would like level up in the room, level up like my eyesight, whatever. And like 3 more clues would just pop up.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I'd be like, what the? Like, how much have I missed? up to
Yeah.
this point, like, you know.
But
And
like, well, but I guess, well, how soon can you upgrade stuff like that where you would even be able to find it earlier on?
you can do it straight from the beginning. So
Oh,
essentially, they
okay.
give you a certain amount of points, and they're like, you could put everything into being violent, like, and just go around like just punching people and stuff like that.
All right.
And like your strength and stuff like that. Or you
Mhm.
could put it into being smart, but like I kind of put it even across the board,
Sure.
and like the body that you find is like hanging from a tree, and they're like, we got to get this body down,
Yeah.
right? I didn't get down for 2 fucking days because I no, none of my stats were good enough. Whereas I
Just like
imagine some
punch it.
people, I was like trying to shoot the belt that it was hung up by.
Well, I guess really quick. So, is the game is it purely like choice
Mhm.
walking around, or is there or is there like shooting and like all that kind of stuff?
It is purely choice based.
Oh, okay,
So there
all
will
right.
be points where they're like, "Do you want to fire your gun or whatever?"
Hmm.
But like, it's not like goes first person or anything like that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. It's sort of like it's fixed camera, sort of point and click adventure style.
Yeah, got it. It's like an isometric view kind of
Yeah, but it's
thing.
really consider. It sounds weird because the town is so ugly. Because as I said, it's sort of like a post-revolutionary war Eastern Europe. Like
Yeah,
everything's grey and cold, and it's snowing, but not where the snow's setting. It's just sludge. The game's
yeah.
really beautiful.
Hmm.
Like the art of it and everything like that. It's really, and I feel weird because all the characters are clearly miserable. Like you talk to people and they're all struggling to make ends meet,
Yeah.
but there's a beauty to the world
Okay.
of people just trying to get by and trying to make the best of like a shit situation and a shit world they live in, but not knowing really what to do.
Yeah, so it seems like a very character driven, like story intense game.
Yeah, honestly, as well, like there were a few times with this game where I was like, I think I fucked this, like because I
Hmm.
didn't know what to do. I was like, I think I'm gonna fail this. I don't think I'm gonna solve the murder.
Oh,
Like
that
by
is an
the end,
that's an outcome, like, or
I don't know because I did in the end. But there were a few times where I was like, I don't know what to do. None of my stats are quite there to
hmm,
progress, and
okay,
then I would find something, and I would progress so much further.
interesting.
Like just one little clue would just blow it all open. And I tell you what, I think would make you interested in this. The detective aspect reminded me of Shenmue.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah, but it don't go into this thinking it's like Shenmue, but that
Yeah,
sort of every little bit
sure.
of information you get unlocks another mystery, right?
Yeah,
Because at first I'm like, all right, who killed this guy? And then you start uncovering what's actually going on in the town. You're like, fuck, this shit's getting deep.
but can
Uh,
I drive a forklift?
no. You
Oof.
can operate some machinery, though,
All
that
right.
is like a forklift.
All right, I'm back in.
Yeah.
Nice. But no, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Those types of games definitely be of interest to me. Yeah, and that's where like I once again the only way I've always heard positive things about this game, and I know this is a game I probably was going to play at some point, but kind of like
Mhm.
you, where I don't know if it's maybe not being in the right mood or like just so many other things have come out, maybe it just passed me by. But yeah, this is a game I've has been on my radar for a while that I want to check out.
Yeah, I don't know why I enjoyed it as much as I did, which is weird. That sounds like a knock against it, but it's
Right.
not. It's just everything about this game, like it's ugly looking, but I find it beautiful. The
Sure.
people are depressing and assholes, but I want to keep talking to them.
Hmm.
The story. I'm going to be honest. I didn't like how it ended. It
Okay.
felt very rushed at the end, and I went and read about the ending, like what other people thought, and really it's very 50-50. You get people saying either like, well, actually I liked it, it really fit the theme
Hmm.
of the game or whatever. I fall in the camp of I felt it a bit came out of nowhere and felt
Hmm.
very rushed.
But is
Like
that though once again dependent on what ending you get? Like there are multiple ways to interpret it, or no? There's still like one
I
interpretation.
think there, based on what I saw online, I think there is one ending, but I think there's multiple ways the last conversations can go down.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I think
I think I can.
I think
Yeah.
me and you are going to get the same ending, but the dialogue's going to change.
Sure.
You know,
Okay.
I don't know if I'm describing it well there,
No,
but
I could understand where like maybe it's the same ending in terms of the general
mhm.
macro outcome, but yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
I
certain
don't think
characters have
the
different
killer's going to
relationships.
change for anything.
Right.
Like, you know, like
Yeah.
who it is or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I I really enjoyed this game. It's one of the best ones I've played this year. I know it went out this year, but as I said,
Mhm.
I've sort of gone back and played a few things that I've sort of let slip past the last few.
Mhm. And how long did it take you to get through it?
I'd say about 20, 25 hours.
Okay, decent size. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like similar to Shenmue. It's like it goes off a day and time side
Mhm.
calendar. You know, they'd be like, right, we got to interview this guy. He's not going to get off work till 7, so we got to come back to that apartment. In the meantime, let's go look at something else.
Mhm.
You know, and you can come back or you can miss that completely. Stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Okay.
There were a few things where, like, so I got towards the end, and they were like, "Oh, you know, like they essentially say, you know, there's no going back from here, so you might want to go
Mhm.
do some other stuff."
Yeah.
And I felt like because I'd left those certain things right till the end, the dialogue wasn't quite matching up with where I was in the game.
Mm.
Like because there may be stuff I should have done earlier.
Yeah, and it's just trying to quickly like wrap something up now at the end.
Yeah. And it wasn't even stuff I was intending to do, but they pretty much said, if you want to do that, you should do it now. I was like, I guess I should. Like, it was essentially, do you want to
Mm.
accept a bribe off someone? But I was trying to play like a clean cop. But my assistant essentially said to me, like, we should go do that now if you want to do that. I'm like, okay. I thought
Hint,
you were
hint.
going to get angry at me if I took a bribe. You
Nope.
know?
Not this.
Yeah.
Not today.
And, but Kim, who is your partner,
Mm.
he is awesome. He is so
Mhm.
well written. He is so like the voice actor for him is awesome to the point
Okay.
where he's got like a French Canadian sort of dialect
Mhm.
to him, but he's just so fun to listen to. He's quite like stiff, but like in a fun way. Like he makes the odd
Mhm.
dry joke or whatever, and he gives you shit, but like in a funny way. He's not like
Yeah.
outwardly the comedy relief or whatever, but he's a great partner to just have with you doing everything you do.
Yeah. So just has a good personality. He's not just some generic
Yeah.
sidekick or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're legit. Like, if you want to do some shady shit, like once he goes to bed, you can sneak out at night and like break into places and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to go out without Kim. Kim's awesome. He can come with
Yeah.
me.
Come on. Let's go. That's
Yeah,
funny. That's
yeah.
cool. Do you know why there was a director's cut? Like how it might be different than like the
Um,
original?
I think a lot of it is the voice acting. So a lot of the voice
Hmm.
acting was not in there.
Oh.
It was a lot of just reading text or whatever. They
Hmm.
essentially, I believe, went back and voiced every line.
Damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there is a lot
Hmm.
because obviously it's a 20, 25 hour visual novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like there's plenty of side stories and things to flesh out with that much voice acting. So yeah, that's really cool.
I just find it amazing as well that you can be like the biggest brute. Like you can be a cop like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon, or you can be Homer Simpson. Like this, like the spectrum is so wide. You can be a big bumbling idiot, smart guy, tough guy, like very physical guy, like any of that stuff.
Hmm. No, that's good. So it gives you choice, and seemingly it will affect what happens, and it's not just like
Hmm.
a minor thing that they do just for the illusion of choice. It's actually like no, it's affecting things. Is what it seems like.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
But
that's good.
I'll give it a big thumbs up. Big thumbs up.
Nice. Well, actually, once again, speaking of Game Awards, didn't this also win whenever the year it came out? I don't know if it was necessarily Game of the Year, but I thought it won like a bunch of
It
stuff
might have
back
won something like Best Indie or something like that.
because I think that's where I first heard it. To be honest, was at one of the last couple Game Awards.
It might have been nominated for Game of the Year.
Maybe.
I think it got a few tens and stuff like that. Like we were talking about with
Yeah.
Deathloop and stuff.
Right. Right. Which for this one, it actually seems worth it. It's
Yeah,
true.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I did a point scale, I wouldn't give it a 10, but
Mhm.
like I can see why certain people would.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems interesting enough. Very nice story-driven game, and I think it's on a bunch of stuff now because like not
I think
just
it's even on
PlayStation.
Switch and
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like this, this is gonna sound weird, but this almost seems like a game I would want to get on Switch for some
Mhm.
reason, like just to play on the couch and like or in bed or something like that.
Yeah,
Even
this
though
is
I'm sure it looks great on PS5.
well, it's sort of like a sort of painted background look to it.
Hmm.
Right. So I, especially on like the OLED,
Yeah.
this isn't a game where I'm like, no, 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 don't get on Switch. You got to watch it. Like, you got to play it on a big TV. This isn't one of
Hmm.
those. Like, if you're like, oh yeah, Switch game to me, I'll be like, yep, go for it. Like, whatever way
Yeah.
you think's like best to play it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'll
Mhm.
definitely, like I said, I know I'm going to play this game at some point, but that's good to hear that. Unlike certain other games that lie to me, this one is actually worth playing.
They apologize for Cyberpunk. Get over it.
All right, look. Actually, once again, speaking of Game Awards, the expansion had a trailer come out, and you can apparently Idris Elba is going to be in this one along with Keanu, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
See how that goes. Oh goodness. But anyways, if any of you
Fun.
out there played Deathloop, yeah, that's good. Thumbs up. So glad to hear. So if any of you played Disco Elysium or Deathloop, let us know what you felt about them. If you're also equally as gaslit as I am on Deathloop, please leave a comment.
Gaslighting's
uh,
not real. Do you know how ridiculous you sound?
oh no! Now, fuck. It's getting too meta now. But yes, let us know what you think, and until next time, we'll chat with you then. Take it easy.
Bye.